Hey, it's Steve Jolly with the Home Buying Skills channel. On today's show, we're going to talk about the beginner's home buying guide and the top tips and tricks for home buying in 2022. Are you ready to get started? Well, let's get to business. Today we're going to go through a 5-step plan of how to be a better home buyer. And the first step goes with planning your move. That is so important. That's a step that so many people skip because they just start out the home buying process. They think, well, I want to buy a home, so I'm going to go out and look at an open house today. I'm going to drive through some neighborhoods and I'm going to start casually doing the process. While that might seem like busy work and you're accomplishing things, really you're not really getting down to the business of buying a home. And that's why the first thing you really need to do is talk to a realtor. They can help you through this beginning process that's so confusing. They can put you on the right track to buying a home sooner. And that is so important, especially in this market, because we have prices that are still rising. We have interest rates that are still rising. And so every day homes are getting more and more expensive. The sooner you can put a home under contract, the sooner you can lock in that interest rate and close on a property, the less expensive that home is going to be for you. And that's why it's so important to talk to a realtor. And they're going to ask you questions like, how much money do you want to spend per month? If you know what your monthly budget is for the home that you want to buy, we can back into the appropriate purchase price for you based on your down payment and all the other factors that you give to us. And that is so important going into it, is that you're looking at the homes that are priced appropriately for you and for what you want to spend and for your budget. And that leads to the next question: how much money do you want to put down? And how much are you going to need to set aside for closing costs, for appraisals, for home inspections, all those things that you need to spend money on to get to that closing table, plus your down payment? How much do you have total there? So that also helps us decide what you can really afford and helps us set that budget monthly number for you so that you're ready to go when you find the house that meets all your needs and meets the price and is perfect for you. And this is a very important step also in this process of planning, is you really need from the very beginning to decide where you want to live. That'll really save you a lot of time in the process of finding your home, because you're not going to be driving all over town and all over the area to really find that home. If you can narrow it down to the neighborhood, to the community, to the area that you want to live in, you can help yourself and your agent focus on certain neighborhoods, certain properties, and you can also, that helps you have a better opportunity to find something off market, finding a bargain, because you're focused on one area and you can really dig deep in that area instead of skimming the surface here and skimming the surface on this part of town. Spend some time in the very beginning driving around the neighborhoods, finding out exactly where you want to live, or maybe narrow it down to 1, 2, or maybe at the most 3 areas that you want to live, 3 communities. That way you can really focus on finding that exact property that meets all of your needs. And the last thing you want to do in this initial planning phase is to create a list of your deal killers and your must-haves. Now, deal killers are the things that you're going to walk away from if you see it immediately. So if you, for example, if one of your deal killers is a flood zone, as soon as you find out a home is in a flood zone, you're going to want to walk away from that. Now, must-haves are things that you absolutely have to have in the home, or you're just not going to consider it. So maybe you want an open concept, or you want the primary bedroom on the main floor. Those are things that are must-haves. Your realtor needs to know that up front so we can plan appropriately, so we can show you homes that only meet what you're looking for, save you time, save us time, and help save money in the long run by getting you into that home a little faster. Now that wraps up step number 1. For step number 2, we're going to talk to a lender, and we're going to find out what programs they have and what programs are available that might work best for you. So they have things out there that work better for first-time home buyers. There are programs out there for self-employed people. No matter what situation you're in, there's probably a program that'll work for you. And not every lender has all these programs. So we might have to talk to 2 or 3, maybe 4 different lenders to find out exactly the best deal for you. So not only is it money-wise, but it's time-wise, and everything else that goes into putting that loan together. All those factors have to work for you. So that's what we're going to do up front, is we're going to spend some time trying to find the right lender and the right program, so that when you find the home that you really love and when it comes time to write that offer, you can go ahead and do that immediately without having to take steps back and recreate all this from the beginning if you just haphazardly go into buying a home. We don't want to do it haphazardly. We want to do it with a plan, with a purpose, and with a focus that gets results and makes you successful. So part of that program is, how is it going to save you money? So different programs are set up different ways, and there's all kinds of costs that goes into the loan that you don't really consider, that is just outside of your average interest rate. So there's things like PMI or private mortgage insurance that can cost you hundreds of dollars a month. And if there's a way that you can afford that, way that you can save money that way, and maybe you can buy a bigger home, or maybe you can afford to buy the home in that area because we're saving a little bit of money on those loan costs. So finding the cost that works for you is just as important as finding the loan program that works for you. And then one of the things we're going to do from the very beginning, before we go out and look at homes, is we're going to start gathering all these documents that your lender is going to need. They're going to want to see probably your tax records from the last 2 years, your 1040s that you sent in. They're going to want to see bank statements, financial statements, credit card statements. They're going to want to see your W-2s. They're going to want to see all of your financial information. And it takes time to gather that because it's not all in the same place. And it's not easily just to put it all together and submit. So it's going to take some time. So we're going to do that up front. And that way, hopefully, we're going to get pre-approved by the lender up front. And not all lenders do this. So this is something that you want to consider, but it's going to make you look like a much stronger buyer, and it's going to make you look better in the eyes of the home seller if you can get pre-approved from the very beginning. Well, what that means is, so the seller can go through all of your financial information and they can say, yes, this person is pre-approved to buy a home up to a certain level. The only thing we need to do after this point is to verify that the home appraises for the price that the buyers are paying for it. So by getting the buyer pre-approved in the process, then all we have to do is approve the home, and it makes that process go so much smoother after you get a home under contract. So getting pre-approved with your lender is a very important step, and it really just makes you look so much better in the eyes of the home seller. Now on to the third step, and before we get started, I want to talk about things that you shouldn't do while you're looking for a home, especially after you go through the approval process. And one of those things is not making any large purchases, either with cash or with credit, because that can do two things. It can mess up your debt to income ratio, and it can mess up the amount of money that you have saved up and put forward towards down payment. So if you're making large purchases either with cash or with credit while you're trying to buy a home, it can mess everything up so that you no longer qualify to buy a home. And that's the last thing you want, is to put all this time, effort, and money into securing a home only to find out now that you made this major purchase of a brand new car, you can no longer afford it. The second thing you shouldn't do while you have a home under contract is quit or change your jobs. That is a big no-no. That's one of the sources of income that your lender looks at to approve your loan. And if you're going to change or quit jobs, you need to talk to your lender first and make sure that they understand what you're doing, and then it's not going to mess it up. Now, not every time that you change jobs that it's going to do that, but you just want to make sure you clear that ahead of time. We don't want any surprises for the lender. That's the last thing they want. That throws up red flags everywhere, and that can either stall your loan or get your loan canceled. That's the last thing we want to do. So we're going to go ahead and make sure that we don't do any of these things, especially changing jobs, without talking to the lender first. Another thing you want to do, especially while you have a home under contract, is make late payments on anything, whether it's a credit card, whether it is a utility bill. Pay all your bills on time. You don't want anything late showing up on your credit report, which might damage your credit number and might make either your rates go up or make you no longer qualify for a home. So don't make any late payments on everything. Pay everything on time, just like you always do. Now, this is going to sound counterproductive, but you don't want to pay off any credit cards or any debt while you're under contract, especially after they've pre-approved you, because they already have that figured into the loan. If you start paying off debt, it can change your credit score, change your debt to income ratio, can change a lot of things that affect your loan. It's better to just, once you get pre-approved, to stay on that same track and do these things just like you were before. And that will make the lender feel comfortable about loaning you the money. Any big changes, any surprises, and they're going to not feel comfortable, and you're going to run the risk of either costing yourself more money or costing yourself the opportunity to buy a house. We don't want to do that. Now it's on to step number 4 in our home buyer beginning guide. And now we're finally getting to the point where we can go out and shop for homes. So as you see, there's a lot of work to do in the getting ready to shop for homes. And if you don't have all that stuff done, you're not ready to buy a home, and you're just basically wasting time out there kind of wandering around, hoping to bump into something that's going to happen for you, but it's not. You need a realtor, you need a plan to make that happen. And so now that we can go out shopping for homes, here's what we're going to do. Now, once you see a home come on the market, you're going to want to be able to move quickly. Speed is attracted to money, and money is attracted to speed. So sellers seeing you move quickly to write an offer is a sign that you're interested in the property. The last thing they want to do is have their property come back on the market, have a sale canceled. And so what we want to do is to give them all the confidence in the world that you are going to be able to close on this property, that you're excited about it, that you want to purchase it. That's one of the best ways of us letting the seller know that you're going to be a good buyer, that you're the one that's going to get to the closing table. So that's one of the things we're going to do is move quickly. Second thing we're going to do while we're out looking at homes is we're going to focus on that one area that we decided, or those 2 or 3 areas that we decided that we really wanted to live in. We're going to dig deep in those areas. We're going to network. We're going to talk to people. Your agent should be talking to other agents and asking them, hey, what homes do you know are coming soon? Do you know of any homes that are going to be on the market recently? What do you have coming up in your pipeline? All those questions will help uncover additional opportunities for you just by focusing in on one area that'll help you feel more comfortable about what you're doing. So that's some of the homework we need to do on the front end so you know for sure you are ready to move into this area. And then once you find the home that you want to buy, speed to writing the offer is just as important as speed to showing the property. So getting out there and moving quickly and having speed all the way through that process is very essential to what you want to do and what you want to achieve as a buyer and how you want to position yourself as a buyer to the seller. You want them to feel that you are the best opportunity that they have to sell their home and to get to the closing table. If they can see that in you, that's going to help them feel more comfortable agreeing to whatever your terms that you can afford to and that you want to and that you need to provide to them. So whatever terms you write up on that offer, they're more likely to accept them if they feel comfortable in you being able to get to the closing table and you being able to work with them in a collaborative way to get to that closing table. That comfort level is so important to sellers because, as I said earlier, nobody wants to put their home on the market twice. And then one other thing we're going to want to think about, does this home meet your must-haves? Does it meet your deal killers? Does it fit the 80-10-10 rule for you? And once again, the 80-10-10 rule is 80% of the home has all the things that you want. So 80% of the home that you find should be exactly what you're looking for. 10% of the home are things that you're probably just going to have to live with because nobody ever finds the perfect home with everything perfect. And then 10% of the things out there you may have to fix or improve to bring them up to your standards. So does this home meet the deal killers? Does this home have the must-haves that you want? And does it meet the 80-10-10 rule for you? And if it does, that is a prime candidate for you to purchase, and you should move quickly on it. Step number 5 in the Home Buyer Beginner's Guide is writing that offer. Now, one of the most important things you can do while you're visiting the home, while you're going on that showing, is to learn everything about the home that you can, especially if you're interested in writing an offer on that property. And here's the reason why. Because there are so many different things about a home that can affect its value. For example, if your home has 2 HVAC systems and we find out that both of them are near the end of their life and it would cost about 20 grand to replace both of those units, well, this home is probably worth about 20,000 less than what you originally thought because of the need to replace these systems. So you have to take all this into account because you have roofs, HVACs, water heaters. You have all kinds of systems, mechanicals throughout the home that need to be repaired and replaced. And that costs real money, and that's going to cost you as a homeowner in the long run. You better know upfront what those costs are, and you better know upfront before you write that offer, because if you write it for $20,000 more than the home's really worth, it's hard to back that price on down. It's better to write it at what you think it's really worth, and then if you have to, move up a little bit to meet the seller. As I said earlier, speed is so important in writing an offer. So you want to see the home as soon as possible. You want to get back to the seller as soon as possible. And if you're going to write an offer, you want to do that as quickly as possible. All those things show a positive intent to buy a home. That makes the seller more comfortable about you as a buyer. Another thing you can do to make yourself more valuable to the seller is, as you're walking through the home, look for ways that you can help the seller throughout the process. Are there things that you can do that'll make the process of selling the home easier for the seller? And if there is, include those in your offer or mention those to the seller. Anything that you can do to solve problems for somebody is going to make you more valuable to them and is going to make you seem like a better buyer, someone that they know they feel comfortable with, someone that's going to collaborate with them to get things done, and somebody that's going to take this all the way to the finish line so they can go on and buy the next home for themselves too. So as you're writing that offer, you're going to think about all the different ways that you can make yourself look best. So you want to position yourself as the best possible buyer for this home, the one that is not going to give them any headaches, the one that is going to be consistent, that's going to be reliable, that's going to do what they say all the way to the finish line, all the way to the closing table. Anything that you can do to make yourself look like that person, to position yourself as the best buyer out there, is only going to help you in the long run. Sellers want to work with people that they trust, that are going to get there to the finish line. And if they trust you, that makes you look better than anybody else. Also, when writing your offer, you're going to want to think about things such as inspections and appraisal gaps, any type of contingencies that you have. How are those going to work with what you want to achieve? If you currently own a home now and you want to try to buy another home, then you're probably going to need to have a sale of home contingency in there. So you've got to think of all those things up front when you're writing an offer, because once you write an offer and it's accepted, it's too late to change those terms. So be thinking about all those contingencies and how they're going to work with you and how much time you're going to need to fulfill your duties and your due diligence during those contingency times. So those are things you need to think about when writing an offer, so that you write that offer to the best of your ability, so that it is the best offer and then it meets all your needs and you don't have to try to claw back or change anything after it's submitted. I hope you enjoyed today's video on home buying. If you liked the video, click the like button to let me know that you enjoyed it. If you have any specific questions, leave them in the comment section below. And don't forget to subscribe and hit the bell so you'll never miss one of our videos. Take care.